No, I actually work Hey Justin, I've got it unplugged.
I plugged it in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't get it.
That's
I just don't got it.
Yeah. Oh, no, so that's okay, but yeah, that's what I do. It's really just for.
There's a box back there.
Yeah.
Right. It was
Yes. Michelle? Charlene Green? I've never seen it straight down or anything.
And the roll call. Jill?
Here.
Michelle?
Here.
I'm here. Lloyd? Here. And Melissa?
Here.
All present, would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? Wait, where's our flag?
Word. I don't think it's back there.
We don't have one, do we?
I'll just strip the floor, I bet, and wax it.
Well, please join me in asking the flag for the pledge of
There's
allegiance.
a flag right out there by,
Oh, yeah.
outside the door.
Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I do have one open forum with regard to follow-ups, legal review, training, and city work. Any additions to the consent agenda?
Regular agenda.
Regular agenda? Let's move to the consent agenda. Any concerns or comments? Oh, approval of the minutes
No,
of
right.
the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Open forum. I'll second.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Boyd? Aye. And Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Now, consent agenda. Any comments or changes to the consent agenda?
I have comments on the accounts payable.
Okay,
Card member services, party in the park, national night out for 14617. Hold on, we lost our lady.
thank you very much.
Okay. I had party in the park and national night out for 14617.
National Night Out was 130 something for hot dogs, and the
the difference was the volleyball and the kickballs and stuff for the park.
Because there's a separate one then for kickball and volleyball for 1697.
One was because we bought the kickball and one volleyball at Walmart, that's the 1697, and the other volleyball was bought at Target because they only had one.
Oh, okay. And then we got the bill for KRWC. And then my other one is Eckerd Glamours, 3469.28. We have, I got the invoice today. And we have, I don't know if anybody else has this, but, a $60 charge, a $300 charge, a $15 charge, one for 75, one for 135, and one for 120, for a total of $705 for some allegations that were made towards me that were frivolous allegations, and $705, and then later on we're going to talk in the budget how we're over budget with our attorney fees, and this is one of the reasons why. Because there was something that was pinpointed at me, there was no business in that being brought up, really. And for this month alone, there was $705 of taxpayers' money that was spent on that.
And if you'll
So I just
notice,
wanted to make a point on that.
your name is prominently listed there as well with regard to the several calls that you made to Eckerd Glamours, and we had to respond to you
Exactly.
in regard to that.
Yep.
The other thing, we addressed this at the last meeting with respect to the personnel committee, which you were not present for, but you were aware of, and I spoke with you as well to talk with you in reference to that, but you refused to meet with me and
Correct.
refused to meet with our lawyer in reference to it.
Correct.
You also made several calls to the League of Minnesota Cities, which had to be responded to by our legal team.
No, it didn't.
Oh, yes, it did.
But-
Trust me, it did. With regard to that, it has to do with the fact that council members are expected to follow the open meeting law and expected to follow the Data Privacy Act provisions.
Correct.
And when they do not, then we need to do something with it. And
Correct.
this stems from the meeting in May and the special meeting in May, which I think you're probably aware of.
Correct.
And I know you've also been provided a copy of the letter with respect to that incident that I drafted in order to put you on notice for not being consistent with those
Correct.
policies.
Yep. And I did respond to you on that.
Mhm.
And talking with our attorney, both of them, Andy and Mike, and the League of Minnesota Cities, there is nothing that I did wrong at those meetings. But it has been pursued since, my understanding is April or May. It is now September. With a rough estimate, just this month alone, $705 of taxpayers' money. That's my discussion, I have nothing more to say.
Well, let's look and see. I have a couple of things to add. If you want to start calling how many times you have dealt with our legal team, that would be year to date through approximately $1,185.
Correct.
That's just the calls that you made with respect to the incident regarding the administrative settlement, personnel discipline issues, union contract, and you weren't even on the team for the personnel committee or the union contract negotiation team, but still seem to rack up a few dollars there.
Correct.
If you want to look at legal fees and the reason that we're over this year, we spent $13,000 or more on the city administrator settlement in legal fees. We spent approximately $3,700 on contract negotiations with the union this year, and those are still ongoing. We spent approximately $2,600 on frivolous personnel committee issues that were unfounded and weren't well-grounded, yet we had to investigate them and bring in the legal team and ensure that we were properly adjudicating them. You might be familiar with those as well because I think they stem from your pushing those. We also dealt with several issues on the personnel committee and whether or not we had to have more people there because of your insistence on being there. So instead of spending what should have cost us $9,200, we ended up spending $32,000. So if you want to look at frivolous nature of spending, I suggest that might be the pot calling the kettle black.
You brought up incidences that did not need to be warranted. In my discussions with our legal team, the League of Minnesota Cities, and also, you were advised not to push through with this because there was no warrant for anything that was here. The union negotiations did not need to be brought up as well, the $3,700, because we're going into union contracts within the next month and a half, depending on the union reps situation that's going on. We did not need to bring in a union team to renegotiate contracts that we're going to be renegotiating again by the end of the year. So, like I said, I'm done.
I would think so. Okay, because a lot of that has your name.
It does have my name on it,
Absolutely.
because when you make allegations against me, that I'm not even there to
Well, I
defend
will
myself.
submit to you, Michelle, that you look at the tape, and you also listen to the tape of the closed meeting, which you
Excuse me. We have a council meeting, please?
Yes, we do. I suggest that you look at the
Thank you.
tape and see what the tape shows. Because the
I know
tape
what the
shows
tape
clear
shows.
evidence that it did occur.
It did occur,
Exactly.
but there was
And
nothing
that
wrong.
needs to be addressed. And
There
per
was
my-
nothing
Per
wrong
my
with it.
conversation with League of Minnesota Cities, they said that yes, that was not consistent with the law.
Well, then
And
it's two
in my
separate issues.
conversations with Mike
So-
McKean, he advised that yes, that was not consistent with the law.
Okay, because even talking with Andy,
And that's the reason I
2
felt
hours
it needed to be
ago
pointed out.
well, where is it now?
Would you like to meet with me and Mike McKean? Because you insisted on
For
having
another
him present.
$150?
You insisted on that. That was your decision to do that. I was glad to meet with you, with Jill, and just you and I. But you didn't want to do that. So
No, I
if
was
you
willing to
want
meet
to
with Jill.
insist, that's fine. We can do that right after this meeting if you'd like. Is that appropriate? Will that work for you, Jill?
Yes.
Thank you. We ready to move on?
Tried to a couple minutes ago. That's all I got on that.
Okay. Any other issues with respect to the consent agenda? Have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. I'll second.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Wright County Sheriff's Department.
And I didn't get a report this month, but I don't have anything.
Thank you much.
I have a question for you. Do you know, any whereabouts as to the vandalisms that continue to happen at our city buildings? If there's any idea who it may be, what's going on, anything like that?
I haven't heard of them, I guess. I'm not working on their being employed, so I haven't heard about them.
Anything further? Monthly activity reports. Joe?
All right, so I attended the personnel meeting, that followed with Montrose Days Committee, or Montrose Days, which I was at on several different occasions. The special meeting on the 31st. And then Park and Rec and Montrose Days Committee. That all sounds good.
Michelle?
Montrose Days Committee, Dollar General grand opening, special meetings, Park and Rec. Just did the cleanup yesterday with the House of Grace.
I attended a personnel meeting, meetings with, as everybody else did, with Drone Associates for our search team. City Council workshop for training and training for our legal team, summer legal team. Dollar General opening. The feed program produce drop. The House of Grace Day of Service, which was Sunday, where we did lots of projects in Montrose and cleaned up a lot of properties as well as did community service projects for lots of our residents. And several scout meetings.
I attended the personnel committee meeting and also the other city council meeting that we had. The Dollar General opening, Montrose Days for most of the weekend. The feed produce drop, and then we also had the Beyond the Yellow Ribbon meeting, a recap of our ceremony, and thank you to Sean for putting up our signs. Looks fantastic.
Lloyd?
Excuse me. Attended all council meetings and special meetings, and that's about it.
Personnel committee, Jill, you want to have
Oh, sure. Nothing like put me on the spot for it. That's a specialty.
that? Page 23.
All right, so personnel committee meeting that I attended, there was some discussion had about open meeting law from a council meeting back in May, trying to determine the best way to go about that with a written notice, and which was followed by training, which was conducted by the city attorneys for all council members. And there was also discussion on Carver Field concession stand. And the lack of receipts for purchases, and then lack of funds being turned in at this time. Trying to determine a resolution for that issue. Something that was discussed was creating an actual rules and regulations for that stand, so that whoever runs it would have to follow those rules and regulations. Discussion was had on time clocks. At this point in time, we have decided that there will be a spreadsheet created for all the employees that will be filled out and turned in on a monthly basis at the personnel committee meeting, which will include hours worked, PTO, flex time, vacation, sick time, etc. Gary from David Brown & Associates, who was the hiring firm for the city clerk treasurer, met with us that following Monday, I think, with all of the individual council members to get our input as far as what we were looking for, which I found helpful, at least. I don't know about everybody else. I think everybody found that beneficial. And then discussion about the parade change for Montrose Days, and then a quick discussion on the well houses and wells, which was also brought up at a later special meeting. That was about it.
Just to follow up on the spreadsheet, there is a couple of questions in reference to what specific information is beyond that, so that's going to be handled by Andy Pratt.
Okay.
Finance revenue expenditures.
Mayor and council, in your packets is just the update on our finances, where we're at through July. Just our revenue summary and our expenditure summary. It's just basically by fund. It's not broken down by individual accounts or anything, just by fund. Couple of quick notes. Our enterprise funds are always 1 month behind because we bill and collect it the next month. So those would be basically at, through June. One good thing is between Montrose and Waverly so far this year, we've had 19 new home connections for our wastewater plant. On the expenditure side, the debt service payments have been made for both February and August already, so they're done for the year. We paid off the US Highway 12 bond back in February, so our water fund looks a little askew until we do a budget amendment. And the Public Works has completed the first phase of the regional park that was approved earlier this year. So those are just a few highlights. If anybody has any questions, otherwise we're right on track.
Any questions
My
on
fund.
the revenue summary and the expenditure summary? That'll bring us to Dwight and Myers.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We were asked to provide a quote for long-term financial planning. This is kind of a follow-up from when we did our audit presentation at the work session. We went through kind of in detail what a long-range financial plan would look like. In your package, you'll find a memorandum that kind of summarizes what it is, the benefits of it, an engagement letter, and then also, again, a sample long-term financial plan. In the memo there, we give some benefits of a long-term financial plan. We feel it's always important to look out at least 5 years and see what your financial decisions would look like. Talking with city staff, the capital improvement plan, those are some of your biggest expenditures, tying that into this long-range plan to see how it affects your tax levies, your cash balances, any possible funding sources, grants, debt, issuance of bonds, etc. We always feel it's good to plan this out to make database decisions, looking at the cash balances of the city as a whole based on assumptions made in the plan. Looks at the debt service requirements over the life of the debt to ensure that the principal and interest payments would be made. Another big component of it is managing the tax levy, not just the general fund levy, but the total levy made up of the general debt, and the capital or other components of the tax levy. I'm just going to give you good information to, plan out some years the idea if we're doing the project 1 year. How are we going to pay for that? What does that do to our levy if we issue debt for that? So those are some of the benefits of doing this long-range plan. In the sample, I don't know how much you want me to go through that, but there's some schedules in there on the tax levy. If you look on page 7 of the actual financial plan, this gives all the levies from your general levy, debt levies, any other type of levies. Looks at that over a 5-year period and also includes 3-year history. One of the benefits of having us do it too is we have all that history, so we'll be able to download that from our audit file. The next page, on page 8, again, a 1-page view of your cash balances of the city as a whole. Again, a 3-year history, and then estimated amounts going out 5 years and helping indicate, is the cash balance tracking the way you want it, or are there discussion and issues that you need to solve to maintain a good cash balance. Page 9 gives the total debt for the city, governmental and enterprise fund debt. Kind of ties back into the debt levies and managing that levy to see if any of those levies need to be adjusted up or possibly adjusted down too. Page 10, you have a lot of different debt that is funded partially by transfers. Again, this is a sample, but it kind of gives a 1-page view of what are all the transfers we're making, where are they going, and what are they for by different debt issues that are out there. And then the remaining couple pages, page 11 and 12, have to do with some of the capital projects. Obviously, yours would look different than this depending on what type of projects you have. Starting on page 14, we would also give us some of the key information in graphical format. So page 14 looks at the tax rates and also gives a comparison of tax rates to other local cities too. Broken down by general, debt service, and other levies. Page 15 looks at your general fund balance, so are you maintaining a sufficient general fund balance to meet your cash flow needs within just the general fund. Page 16, property taxes. So we have the property tax levies in a table format. Here it's broken down in a graphical format, again by general bonds, capital projects, looking at where that is, and then also the effect on the individual property, depending on what the value of that house is. Page 17 looks at some of the debt per capita and other debt items. So any of these, graphs that are important to you guys for information, we can tailor them to your needs too. Page 18 is looking at the debt service requirement over the life of the bonds. You can see in this example, some of the bonds drop off in 2025, 2026. That kind of is important in planning for capital projects that you're going to bond for if you want to maintain that levy without having big spikes in the levy. So that is a quick summary and follow-up to our discussion at the work session last spring. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
With respect to credit rating, I'm assuming the CIP is going to be required moving forward. Can you address that?
I know the bonding agencies, when you're getting your bonds rated, it's important to them to see that you are doing financial planning, not only managing the general fund, but managing all funds of the city. If it's required for them, I do not know the answer to that.
We met with somebody from Northland Security who holds a lot of our bonds. They came out and just met with us briefly to see if everything was going okay. And one of the things she said is going forward, Standards & Poor, I'm not sure about Moody, but Standards & Poor is going to be looking at a lot closer to your capital improvement plans, your financial plans. When they do your bond rating, it'd be real tough to get a good bond rating without a good bond rating, you get high interest rates. So it'll be important going forward to have all this in place before we ever try to go out for bonding now.
And it's in those bond rating calls, it's a lot easier to explain the finances of the city having one of these plans, and a lot easier for them to see it too, and not only, here's the documentation that we're actually really doing this.
Any other questions?
This is, I can say this is something we have put into the budget for 2016. That was part of our budgeting because of our strategic planning back in the spring.
And we need a motion to go ahead and move forward with that, is that correct?
I believe, Andy, you said your estimate for these services would be about $10,000 to
Yep.
get the plans
Going
going.
from the page 2 of that.
Yep. And then I also have in there, annual updates. We feel it's important to your assumptions and activity change every year, to have this be a living document. If you do it 1 year, it's really, it's good for a little while, but having those annual updates, and we have those in there at an estimate of 5,000.
Okay, I have a motion to have Becky Myers move forward with our CIP financial piece and planning tool.
I'll make a motion to have Becky Myers move forward.
Second?
I'll second that.
I vote aye. Lloyd?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. And we'll move forward. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Feasibility report for the Wells and Well House.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. On August 31st, we had a workshop regarding this item. We went out and toured the existing well house site. First went and looked at the newer well house site and the wells. And we went and looked at the vintage well house over just by the fire barn over here. So kind of showed you what the
Stick that 85-year-old thing in there.
what the difference is between the two. And obviously, as you can see firsthand, there's a huge difference between the two. A lot of things that are lacking in this well and well house area over here. And those are just the items that you can see above ground. So I think there was a consensus amongst the group that that it needs to be addressed at some point in time. We need to further investigate exactly what the best solution is to fix the problem. We've talked among staff about several different options, and right now at this point, there's at least a couple of them, 2 to 3 options that look like could be potential fixes, but the cost is different. There's a difference in cost between them all. We need to look and see, actually dig into it a little bit further, look into calculations about what kind of flow rates we can get. Talking about maybe using some of our existing infrastructure already in place. Can we tap into that and use that? And then we have to look and see what would it cost to actually modify that versus what would it cost to build new, versus what would it cost and what would exactly be involved and be needed to renovate our existing stuff. So we need to look into that further, and that's really what the feasibility report will do for you, is to look into each one of those, come up with the engineer's estimate for each one, and weigh the pros and cons for each one, so that council can make an educated decision on what the best fit is for the citizens of Montrose, and what the best long-term, short-term solution is. The estimated cost for the feasibility report is about $10,000 to do that. So you'd have that report from us, should you wish to move forward. It's recommended that you authorize us to proceed with the feasibility report. And really that would be used then in what was just brought up about the 5-year financial planning. Basically take that cost and try to fit it in the plan somewhere.
And are you going to look into somebody else to see what we need to do or what we should do to give a comparison?
Well, we would look at what the options are, and then once an option is selected, then we would put it out for bid, for public bid. Yeah.
But for you to do the report is $10,000 and then you put out for bid. Is that correct?
Yeah, when we prepare plans and specifications, apply for funding, and then put it out for bid. And it would be brought forth to you after each one of those steps for your approval to move forward. So right now, first step is just to complete the feasibility report to really determine what's the best solution. Once we determine what the best solution is, then put it in the capital improvement plan and pick a year when we would want to do it. And then after that's chosen, then you'd authorize us to complete the plans and specifications for public bidding and for construction. Yep.
And that feasibility estimate would give some kind of cost ratios on where we're at with each plan.
Exactly. Yes, it will.
So it's not 10,000 right for the original report, it's a step process.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Sean, anything you want to add?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I could, I would like to add that this wells and well house project isn't something new. We've been looking at this for several years now, and yet we kind of put Band-Aids on our existing issues, and we need to seriously look at moving forward with a long-term solution. And we were given the task by the council earlier this year to develop a CIP plan. And in my opinion, this is the highest priority of this plan, and it all congeals together with what Andy just presented to you and what Justin had just presented to you to see where this project best fits in the timeline as far as existing debt and what the scope of the project is moving forward, and then to see where the new debt will best fit us.
Have a motion for the well feasibility project?
I'll make a motion to approve Bolton and Meg to continue with the wells and well house feasibility report cost estimate. I'll second.
Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries. I vote proceed with the feasibility That's nice. For the well houses. Park and Rec.
One quick note on Park and Rec, the minutes that are laying in front of you, the new draft minutes that are in front of you, replace the ones that are in your packet. There was a change to a date on the bottom. That's the only difference. We
Just
changed,
vertically correct, Sylvia.
we changed the date on the volunteer meeting. It said Friday, October 12th, it should say on Friday, October 9th. That's not changed.
On Park and Rec, sorry Sylvia, I can see that our two members aren't here yet, that are supposed to be presenting to you guys. So we'll let Sylvia go ahead and then maybe I can take a 5-minute call Teresa and find out where she is. Or we can go to the end and hopefully they show up. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our Park and Rec meeting went well. We received the application for Janelle Young. We welcomed her as a member, and then we talked about night out for 2016, and there was a discussion of maybe focusing more on the party in the park, less on Montrose night out activities. The Park and Trail Master Plan is pretty well done, but it needs further review. And we got a volunteer meeting to be held for all of the commissions on September 28th. We'll discuss presenting the negotiation forms at that meeting for volunteer organizations to nominate a candidate. For the year, the commission also, and you have to have these nomination forms in by Friday, October 9th by 11 o'clock, so that the judges will review them on Monday the 12th. The volunteer dinner will be held Wednesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. Did you want to know what the venue is?
That's all right, yeah.
Pasta bar, bread, salad, and desserts. And we also nominated Janelle Young as the Park and Rec Commission Secretary. The Park Commission does have a vacancy or two. We need to get these filled. Park Commission application is still under the review of our city attorney. We haven't heard a thing yet.
He just received that today, so he will have it for us at the next Park and Rec meeting.
Okay.
If not sooner.
I think Mike McCain must have forgot to pass it on to him because I sent it to him after the meeting, we discussed it. So they've had it.
And I think that's about it.
Any questions, comments? Thank you, Sylvia. And we'll table Carl Field discussion until we're good here. Head down. Fire department.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. First item is the monthly activity report. Then the next item is the fire chief appointment for the term 2016-2017.
We only received one application, and that was from Kevin.
So you need a motion to continue? that what we're looking for?
Mhm.
Right.
We need a motion to appoint him for the 2016-2017 year.
All right, I'm going to
Years.
motion to continue to have Kevin as our fire chief for the 2016-2017 term.
I'll second that.
Melissa?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Lloyd? All right. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you again, Chief.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wasn't that change, is it changed now, 2016 term?
Starting January 2016.
2016?
Yep,
It's a
January.
two-year term.
It'll be a 2-year
So
term.
should we put that in our motion that is now a 2-year term, not a
That
3-year
is the
term?
2016-2017.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
1 January 2016
Okay.
to 31 December
2017.
Correct.
Got it.
Next item is authorization to purchase water movement equipment. We received a grant through the DNR, it's a 50/50 matching grant, which requires us to spend at least $2,000 in water moving equipment, and then they spend another $2,000. So I'm looking for authorization to spend approximately $2,000 on water movement equipment.
What's water movement equipment?
Anything that moves water, hose, nozzles, adapters, anything like that.
I'll make a motion to approve approximately $2,000 for water movement equipment.
Second.
I'll second.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle? I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Just a quick update on hiring process. We received 7 applications. We're going to review the applications tomorrow night and then figure out dates for the rest of the process from there. Anticipated start time for new people would be mid to late October in that general area. So still not sure how many we're going to take on, but we'll see what the interviews and stuff hold. So 5:15-ish, 5:30-ish, yeah. Yep. And if you can't be there tomorrow, we'll include you on the interview side of things.
I'm going to try to get here, and say it'll be the same.
Yep. And then the last thing is Fire Prevention Week activities. Since we won't be having another council meeting before Fire Prevention Week, figure I'd make a little spiel right now. Fire Prevention Week is October 4th through October 10th of 2015 this year. We will be holding an open house on Wednesday the 7th from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. Elementary school students will be visiting our station that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for tours and fire prevention presentations. The 2015 fire prevention theme this year, which is generally established by the National Fire Protection Agency, is Hear the Beep Where You Sleep, Every Bedroom Needs a Working Smoke Alarm. The National Fire Alarm Code requires a smoke alarm in every bedroom, outside each sleeping area, and on every level of a home. They remind us to check our smoke alarms monthly, change the batteries every 6 months, and what we say is when you change your clocks for daylight saving time, change the batteries. If anybody in the city needs help changing batteries, they can call the fire station, we'll send somebody over to help change batteries. And more fire prevention info is to be included in the upcoming newsletter as well for the city. That's all I have.
Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, I got one question about the cars out there. Is that, how long are they gonna stay out there now? I had somebody ask me.
I would have to double check with my assistant chief, but he was arranging with Hickman's to get them out of there late last week there. We were still kind of playing with them a little bit, cutting them up every once in a while, so. But we are done training with them now, so.
They left today, Kevin.
Oh, they did? Perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay. Teresa, are you ready?
Yes,
Okay. Table utility guys.
good. Sorry guys, we have printer problems.
Yo. Hey.
That is what's located in the last two, flip over the first 2 pages. I kind of did a little checkbook here. The first receipt, so as you can see, we only made $88.87 this year in total after the banks have been deducted. And the next page is
We have copies of receipts, but they're just not here.
We were in such a rush, I'm sorry. So the first column is the total receipt. So the total spent was $116, but $55.99 were personnel, but the actual was $60.44, which then ties to line number 1 on the checkbook statement. The second receipt was $94.55, $33.69 was personnel, and $60.86 was actual, which is line 2 of the checkbook. And then the next receipt total was $33.98, personnel was $21.15, and actual was $12.83, which ties to line 3. And the last receipt is $39.82, $706 was personnel, and $32.76 was actual, which is line 4 of the checkbook. And then the last 4 pieces of paper are the actual sales by what we sold by day. So as you can see, $20 to $25 is all that was earned every day at the concession stand. And so if you go back to the checkbook with receipts and what was spent, a profit of $88.87 is all that was left. So we would like to see this concession stand be more profitable, and the only way we can do that is if we can remodel it. And Ashlyn, if you want to take over and talk about your project.
I can do that. So what I would like to do is, well, I would like to start off by introducing myself. I'm Ashlyn Otto, and I'm a Girl Scout ambassador who's trying to earn a Girl Scout Gold Award. So if you're not familiar with Girl Scouts, it's like the equivalent of an Eagle Scout Award for Boy Scouts. So what I would like to do is I would like to take Carver Field's concession stand and I would like to make it more profitable, and I would like to renovate it so that we can sell more hot foods. So go to a baseball game, you can get a hot dog, you can get a snow cone, you can get all kinds of stuff that you typically see at a baseball field. It's a little bit harder to make a profit when you have to buy everything prepackaged. It could cost about anywhere from $1,000 to $500 depending on the companies and licensing we go through. We've discussed it with, we will be discussing permit types with Park and Rec, but we're currently looking into a permanent seasonal pass that would give us, I believe, about 30 days to sell whatever food, or it's 21, my mistake. And we would be able to sell anything after said renovations, and that would approximately cost about $2,000 in renovations.
Yeah, that's cool.
So for the renovations, we will be required to redo the floors. So we're thinking possibly like epoxy, because that'll pass any inspection. And we currently have wood. We'll have to redo the floors and countertops. And there's some, we need to add some running water, which probably won't be too bad because Teresa and I will be teaming up on that one. And then once everything has been rebuilt and we are able to make a profit, with your guys' permission, I would like to donate the money made in the concession stand each year to a different local charity. And then if it is, with your guys' permission, of course, possible, I would like the first charity to be donated to a Alzheimer's Foundation in honor of Sandy Carter, her and her husband Eddie, who ran stand for 40 years. I would like to donate to them in honor of them.
Any questions?
I have one question. Who's paying the $1,000 to $5,000 to upgrade the stand?
I would be funding all of that.
You'd do like fundraising or
Yes,
something?
I would do all of that. All I ask of you guys is to allow us to keep the money that was made this year.
Maybe.
With none of your guys' expenses, so we wouldn't expect you to pay for our licensing or reimburse us.
In order to have your own food there and stuff, second, state inspection. If they have a permit every,
We have to have a permit every year, yes.
every year, or is it good for?
It's good for the 21 days, yeah.
Well, it depends on the kind of permit we choose. Which is what we're looking into specifically, is we are looking for a permit that will give us the most amount of days to sell food and the least amount of renovations.
So right now, the perfect fit right now is what they call the seasonal permanent stand, which is let us operate 21 days out of the year.
We would like to do that more as just like a first phase and just to get it started. So that'll give us 21 days, and then we would like to do something a little bit more permanent, so that if we wanted to say have a softball tournament or a little league tournament, we would be able to sell more days.
How many days did you operate this year?
We had an agricultural license, and I believe we operated for 10 weeks, 4 days out of the week, and we were allowed to sell all year.
Actually, we operate for 6 weeks.
I was 6 weeks.
24.
I forgot about the holidays.
Except for the holidays, so about 20.
My mistake.
It was actually 15.
Yeah.
We've got them wrong. It felt like a month. My mistake.
So who do you mean by we would be running it? I mean, like,
I would like to personally continue to run it. Just, it's been something that I've loved to do. I'm very interested in the business, and I would love to keep running it or have younger youths take an opportunity who are interested in it, maybe a business degree, continue to run it as a chance.
And that would be affiliated with a 501(c) organization, correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
A nonprofit organization?
For what?
Okay, yeah,
So you want like a Girl Scout or Boy Scout or?
to be the organization that runs it.
Yes, yes.
Because if it's 501(c), that takes it out of the city's hands as well, as 501(c) operated.
I believe it was, I'm not sure how many years ago, there was a motion made by that council at that time to allow any organizations, any local nonprofit organizations that wanted to participate, to be able to participate, I guess. So, I guess the thing is, you know, at what point do you allow, I mean, that was the motion, so I don't want to, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and that's great, but I also don't want to take it away from everybody else's opportunity if there's somebody else that wants to be involved. And there may never want to be, I have no idea.
I just would love to see the money going back to people who could really use it. I just really want to see it go to charities.
And at the personnel committee, we discussed going the stand being operated by a nonprofit organization already.
Which would be like,
I think there was a motion earlier by the council, this year would go to the Parks and Rec, is that correct?
It was made
3 years ago?
3 years ago
3
to
years
do
ago.
that.
So you can change it if you want, I mean, a motion can be made. I guess the biggest thing is it would be great to take it back out of the city's auspices, yard control, whatever, because the way that things are being purchased and the money and stuff, it really needs to leave the city's hands. Either that or it needs to be done correctly.
Because our requirements for the city are much more stringent
Yes.
as far as when
Yes.
bills have to be paid.
Well, one instance is you really can't take money, like your purchases can't come out of your funds. You really need to turn in your purchases to the city and be reimbursed and turn the money into the city to be deposited.
Gotcha.
So if it leaves the city, that would be great. If we didn't have anything to do with it, it would be great.
What's your plan for winterization?
Well, currently as Teresa in her CrossFit stand, she has a portable sink. So if it's okay with the Park and Rec Committee and then Public Works, what we would like to do is very something similar to what they have in the CrossFit stand. So they just run a food grade hose, under the sink. And then we just take the
Exactly
sink
the
out.
same setup.
there's already a spigot in place, correct?
Yes, there is.
Talk a lot.
Yep.
Have you approached the inspector, food inspector of the Wright
No,
County?
We have not yet.
No.
We will be soon.
Yeah, we're just in the beginning phases, we just want to ask permission and see where it goes. You still have to approach the Girl Scout Council as well.
We just recently got up to the point where I could start the project, so
Yes.
we are in a very beginning phase.
Yes, the gold award phases, she has to, I have to applaud Ashlyn. She has completed a lot of journeys to get to this point. So, and she's got 2
Maybe
years.
silver award.
Yes.
I actually
She
started a
missed
very
it.
big silver award. I missed it just by a bit. It was,
Yeah,
took on a very big task. But I did do a bronze award.
Yes. So, but no, she has, she's worked really hard to get to this point, and so, the next 2 years, this is, a great opportunity to achieve it, so gives her a lot of time, a lot of, ability to get what she needs to get in 2 years.
I do have a question, yes. What would be the chances of, like this past weekend now, it was used by an organization for a fundraiser for the Alzheimer's. What would be the chances of, and then if you did get it renovated, to allow them to use the...
I would be more than willing,
I mean, is that
I'm all about giving back.
Yeah,
Okay.
not a problem.
Just, I mean, because I'd probably get asked.
I would never tell somebody
I
no.
actually, sorry,
Yep.
I spent quite a bit of time this weekend down at Copperfield with Eddie and Carrie. Jim actually did the fields and everything for them. And met Carrie's sister, Eddie's daughter, Jody. And she was actually very appreciative that Ashlyn was continuing to do this because the Carvers have done this for 40 years. And they're just happy to see it back up and going. And grateful, as you can see with the letter, and asking us to continue to be there. And I'm like, really, we should be asking you, because to me, it's their field. You know, I mean, they were here for 4 years, and we're just trying to continue with what they started.
Well, would it help out, I mean, like with Kirby doing his softball tournament over Montrose Days too, I guess that's my question, is if they would be able to use the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
For future, maybe we could get more people, more fundraisers in there or something.
Sean, do you have anything from the public side of the house?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do. Council, being that it is a city building, we will have to follow the building permit process, which requires being inspected by the building inspector.
Okay.
And that's the only comment that I've got as far as the renovation process.
Okay.
I'd like to ensure that with your plan that we get the Wright County food inspector to look at that, at your plans and make sure that that's feasible.
That's a part of the plan.
That's part of the plan.
Yeah.
We actually took a sketch, but
Yeah.
in a rush to get out, we
I
actually forgot
understand,
it.
I know you're in the prep phase, that's fine, I know how that is.
If you would like, though, we can come back.
But the other key subject too is winterization and maintenance, and then if you're having other organizations utilize it, how that will pass off. And so the city knows who to contact and how to pass it off. The other thing that I see is that if we're opening it up to one 501(c) organization, one nonprofit, we may want to make the offer to others that might be interested. I don't know about that. Probably not to be anyone out there, but I think we still need to open that up, see if anyone else is interested. And I applaud you wanting to do the work to get it up to code as far as providing hot food there. I think that's a plus. But I just think that we need to look at if there's anyone else that has any desire for doing that, and then the council can make a decision of who they're going to have do that. And based on the fact that you're willing to do the extra work to bring it up to speed, I think that's a big plus.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I just do have one more question. So moving forward, the money that was made in it this year, moving forward into next year, how do you plan on continuing with that?
We have a motion to go ahead and change that the funds earned this year go to the Girl Scouts who operated the stand
For renovations. For renovations.
for renovations. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Michelle?
Aye.
Abstain? I vote aye. Lloyd? Aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
Motion carries 4, 1 abstention. Okay, so the funds will go back to you, and you can use those for renovation, and I'd like to come back and let's look at it. I'd appreciate it if you touch base with Sean and see if he has anything else that he needs to tweak on that as far as the plans. I know he's going to want to talk about winterization, he's going to want to talk about codes, he's going to want to talk about inspections, those kinds of issues. Then you're going to want to get the public health people involved as well, so that your plan is approved before we move forward.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, 2015 budget levy. Over there, or did we do that? I know it's down there.
This
Oh,
is,
it's the budget levy.
I put the 2016 preliminary levy and budget in the packet. This was the special meeting that was held on August 31st. Just a couple of highlights. The proposed levy must be submitted to the county by September 30th. This year, there were no levy limits established by the state. The proposed levy that has been prepared is a 4.93% above the 2015 levy. It's an increase of about $44,834 with a total proposed levy of $953,382. The levy and budget include a couple things. Police protection increased by $7,300 going into the new year. Public Works had an increase of about $16,800, with the main increase being for seal coating next year. We did increase our legal fees by about $15,000. That was based on what's been spent this year and along with union negotiations and those things. The community center, we budgeted $20,000 for this next year to replace the 21-year-old parking lot. So just those couple items alone total more than the $44,000 that we're looking for. A reminder, this is a preliminary budget. You can always lower the budget for the final one in December, but we can't raise it without special legislative approval. So between now and December, we should have another budget meeting and go over everything and see where we want to be at. So with that in mind, we would need a motion to accept the preliminary levy and budget in the amount of $952,382.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2016 budget.
Second?
I'll second that.
I will, Lloyd.
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle? Motion carries 5-0 to approve the preliminary budget levy. John Deere lease agreement.
Back in 2012, we purchased a new John Deere payloader on a lease agreement purchase. We made an initial down payment in November of 2012 with a 5-year payment agreement of $22,492.24 a year, beginning November of 2013. We pay that every year by November 1st. Sean and I were talking, we looked into possibly paying that lease agreement off now ahead of time. It would save the city about $2,543 in interest. The payloader payments are paid out of, the majority of it comes out of the public works, which is part of the general fund. The other portion of it comes out of the other 6 funds, which is Park and Rec plus the enterprise funds. So we thought we would give you that option if you would like to pay it off early and save the city the $2,543. I attached on page 66 is our cash balances as of July. As you can see, the general fund, which is 101, the parks, which is the 230, and then the other 5 enterprise funds, which are the 600 funds, all are okay as financially wise or cash balance wise, where the funds would come from. So
Motion to pay off the lease agreement.
I'll make a motion to pay off the John Deere lease agreement.
Second.
I'll second.
Lloyd.
All right.
Melissa.
Aye.
Jill.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 5-0 to pay off the John Deere lease agreement. Save the city some money. Resolution 2015-20.
This is from our attorney. Missing page. This is a resolution from our attorney that is confirming the regular meeting dates for the city council and committees, regular meetings. So it's just basically, right now we have posted in City Hall our regular meeting dates. And in our ordinance, it talks about when our regular meetings are held and if it falls on a holiday, how we handle the change of the meetings. This is just a resolution confirming that.
Discussion?
Currently, right now, we have the Park and Rec, the first Monday, 7 p.m., correct? We want to go back to the first Monday at 5:30 p.m. That's kind of how we set it when Sean came aboard as our liaison. And then for some reason, I don't remember why it got switched back to 7, but we would like to go back to 5:30.
There was discussion had at that following council meeting that perhaps our disinterest and low attendance numbers may have been because of that earlier time slot. If any members wanted to join, they could be there by 5:30. That's where that stemmed from originally.
And I think that's why we changed it back to 7 o'clock, because it's easier for people to get to the meeting at 7 than 5:30.
But with consensus from the Park and Rec, the 3 members that we have on there, they would like to change it, so go back to 5:30, along with Sean.
So you can adopt the resolution with that correction, and we can just make that correction to the 5:30 on the resolution.
Yeah, we talked to him. Okay. Yeah, something like that.
So change it to 5:30.
Go back.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve 2015-20?
With the
I will
change.
Yes, James?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2015-20 with the changes of moving the Park and Rec meeting to the first Monday at 5:30.
Second?
I'll second that.
Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, Lloyd?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Truth in taxation hearing.
I just put this in your packet to confirm that it's okay to set the date for the truth and taxation hearing for our council meeting on December 14th. That is when we've been holding it for the last several years. I need to confirm it with the county.
What day of the week is that?
That's Monday, our regular Monday council meeting for December. We used to have to hold a separate meeting, and the state statute changed about 4 or 5 years ago that you could hold it with your council meeting. And that's what we've been doing. We got very little attendance otherwise.
We're doing it at 7?
It would be right at our council meeting at 7. No.
Okay.
So if that's okay, I'll just turn it in for the county. Okay.
Any other discussion of the regarding? Go ahead. Montrose Day celebration.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lloyd Wilhelm, and I'm here representing the Montrose Days Committee and its Board of Directors. And we just wanted to really take this opportunity to provide our thanks and appreciation to the city staff for their continued support of our organization. Because the celebration is a separate entity from the city, we as volunteers work all year long to bring our community together for one weekend a year. We as a committee cannot do this alone, and the city's employees are a very big part of our success. From the city staff are Wendy Manson, Anna Carlson, and Nicole Sargent, assisted with website updates, posts on Facebook, and made us aware of newsletter deadlines so we could advertise Montrose Days. They assisted with printing the parade programs while we supplied the paper, notifying the residents of the change in the parade route and the MJUA and the liquor license agreements. To the Public Works Group, especially Sean and Jason, this year was certainly challenging because of the weather. With the cooperation of Sean and mostly Jason at the time, we were able to find space for the carnival and the entertainment tent and made it all work out. We worked closely with them as the rain continued to fall. We thank the rest of the Public Works team for mowing, bringing tables from the holding area by the ponds and from the surrounding parks, moving the bleachers, and making sure we have what we needed at the time. To the Emergency Management Coordinator, Matt Menard, and Fire Chief Kevin Triplett, who were on site and in constant contact with myself and Jeff Matson from the Board of Directors to make sure we were aware of the weather and what we would need to do in the event of the severe weather. Very professional and very calming for those of us. It is nice to know that we as a volunteer organization and the city staff are able to work together to bring this event to the residents each and every year. Thank you.
Lawrence, big thanks to you and all your guys for bringing the team as well. I mean, you've got several there.
You're very welcome. It is a team event.
Given the challenges that you were presented with, it was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And fitting all the carnival in around here was even better.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then we had lots of things going on, and it was really good. It shortened the parade route, but I think I saw more people on the parade route than I've ever seen. And it was a really good event, and I think people were pleased with it, despite the challenges that were kind of went unseen. So good work.
Well, thank you, and I'll pass that on to the rest.
Okay. On to council workshop, food shelf.
As many of you know, or may or not know, I don't know, I've been trying to establish a food shop here in Montrose for a few years. The dilemma has been finding a building and then becoming a 501c3, which I have not pursued because I had not found a building yet. So, and with the feed program that's going on right now, you all see that there is a need for something to be established in Montrose. I have now found a home that will be donated to the city. We just have to figure out the legalities and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm asking if we could set a date for the council to sit and have a discussion workshop to proceed with this task that is the need that we need.
What's the building?
The building is a home, a vacant home that is, would be donated to the city. It's a two-story, or not two-story, two-bedroom. It's pretty small. It's like a 24 by 24 that has, you know, the kitchen, bathroom, two-bedroom.
Where are we looking at putting it?
That's what we would be discussing in the workshop, where it could go. I've been in discussion with Sean on this, different aspects of this, where in the city we could find a location for it, what kind of building permit we would need, the building, actually moving the building. What else did we discuss, Sean?
Well, there's several different items that we need to discuss at the council level.
Yeah.
In order to, if the council desires to move forward with this project.
Would this be run by the city?
That's the question, Kenny.
No, I don't foresee it being run by the city. I see a 501c3 coming in and volunteers running it. The only thing that I'm kind of looking at is maybe city land, if there's a spot to put the building on.
And that would be the only obligation of the city that would...
Well, then we have to look at, the building permits, planning, zoning, that kind of. I don't really want the city to run it per se, because I don't think that we really can.
I was just gonna say, I don't know that we legally can...
Right. So, I mean, that's the discussions that we would have to have. So
That is
that's why we're
correct.
looking at a date.
And if it comes on city property, then it has to come up to code, and it has to be handicap accessible, and it has to have Wi-Fi, which might be considerable if the building is not up to code.
Right. And which, I mean, that's stuff that we would, you know, take into consideration. So I'm just asking if the council would be willing to sit down and have a workshop for this discussion.
Yeah, I think we need to do a little more homework on it before we set a date on it. One, we need to have a 501(c) that's willing to take it on. We might want to invite the churches in that are part of the feed program, see if they're willing to take that on. We need to look at a little bit more on the costs, where we're actually at on costs. And then I think we need to look at where we're at as far as the legality of it with the city, and whether or not we can put that on city property and do either a lease or cede the property to the 501(c).
It could probably be like on city property if the city leased it to somebody.
Right, and I talked to Andy about that today, when he was here, if, who, you know, if I want to that would be to take it over, and we put it on city land, that entity would lease it for like $1.
But I don't know
Or
if it's,
whatever.
yeah, I would have to check, I guess, maybe with, see what kind of, if there's any kind of laws or anything, I don't know about expending taxpayer dollars.
Right.
To even, to put any money. I mean, if the 501(c)(3) is willing to pay for everything, how we use lease the land.
Yeah.
I mean, we could look into some of that maybe before we meet.
And there has to be something in the lease as far as liability issues and the 501(c) carried insurance on it as well.
That they would have to carry the insurance, and
Yeah.
the city would not be liable for that, yeah. Yeah, and I did discuss some of that with Andy today, so.
Well, the reason for this is that we get council consensus for this project to spend resources and time looking into this. And if, before we do spend the time and the resources looking into this and it doesn't go, we've already get stretched thin enough to where if we go down this road and we throw it out, it's a giant waste of time.
I think there needs to be some more work done on it first with getting someone that's willing to take it on. 501(c), we've got to have an organization that's going to be involved in it. I think we need to look a little further and see what condition the building's in and what we might have to do to bring it up to code, and whether or not that organization is willing to take on that expense. I don't think the city can take on any of that.
Right.
So there's some homework has to be done. Certainly, I believe that there's a need for a food shelf in Montrose, or in this area. I just need to make sure that we've got the
Well, I think
city is
if,
now in a situation where it becomes liable on the issue, and we're not funding things that we shouldn't be.
if the city is not really going to be involved, I think all of this work needs to be done. Everything needs to be done, and then they can come to us as the council, not the council doing it. It
Agreed.
needs to be a separate entity completely.
Would the city be willing to find, basically what it is putting this property on city land? Is a question. You know, because, I mean, even if they're not, then I'm not having anybody look into it. You know what I mean? If there is a spot, and it was just recommended tonight that a spot possibly, just kind of put it out there for somebody to address it tonight, the land out by Public Works building, out by the compost area. I'm just throwing it out there, I mean, it's just because it was brought to me right before a meeting, so,
I'm not sure if that's the best place for it right now, Michelle, I'd have to look into that.
okay.
And then the other thing might be, and I know we've had some properties that came up for tax foreclosure, but I think they're all too small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or not accessible.
Yeah, probably a lot.
Maybe you should, we need to have some time to come in and meet like with Sean and I, and I guess my thoughts are, before we start looking into it, if there is a place that it can go on city land, it should be some place that's gonna be accessible. It's gonna have water and sewer nearby, because in order for you to even have it, I'm pretty sure state laws gonna require water, sewer, all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's the discussion we take, where we go first, is what we could look at first between the three of us. And then go from there, and if it, see if it's even worth your time. And if it is, then go from there. And we can look into the legal matters, and I can check with insurance and things. That way, once we figure it out. So maybe that's the first step, is the three of us.
Yep, that's fine.
And then we can set a date. And we have to, I don't know how soon you need to look at this, but we'll need to be meeting like in November for budget. Maybe we can do it then too, if nothing else. I don't know how soon you're looking.
Yeah, if the three of us want to get together before that. and then
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah, that would be the best, I think.
Okay, that works.
Table item 11 until we get more information.
Okay, thank you.
But really have a plan for November's budget meeting.
If it's something we can proceed with, then, if it's something we can proceed with, then we can start working on getting a plan together or something.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Evan?
Good evening, council. First off, I'd like to thank all of you for serving on the council. Often it is a thankless job, so. Just one thing as far as the quorum goes, I just, when parents are here with your kids, I just ask the mayor to be respectful of that parent-child relationship and not tear on a parent when their child's present. It's just not very respectful. But the first item I have is, about the special meeting notice for the council workshop on August 31st. Said legal review and training.
That was not council workshop, that was part of the rec meeting.
No, August 31st.
August 31st, okay, special.
Yes.
So one of the agenda items was, something on the meeting notice said legal review and training under attorney commissioner, the information policy and analysis division on the Department of Administration, Minnesota. As previously written, that a special meeting notice must provide detail about the purpose of the meeting. The discussion is then confined to the purpose stated on the notice. These requirements inform the public and also allow public bodies to fulfill the requirements to provide special meeting notice to individuals who specifically request notice about particular topics. For example, feedlots, or union agreements, or the open meeting law. The open meeting law was discussed at this meeting, but was not on the notice. This may be an open meeting law violation. As the mayor is the chair of the council meetings, I would hold him as the one responsible for this. I'm also still waiting for the mayor to respond to a follow-up on another concern from last week about meetings which may have been partly why that resolution was in your packet, confirming the meeting dates.
No, that's not why. But those are on the
Usually that's also done at the beginning of the year, at the first meeting.
Those are changes.
Another point, the mayor said hiring a city clerk outside of the city hall, so this is my second item, would be under the old job description. Hiring inside would say it was $50,000. And now they are hiring outside of the city hall, and then they approved changes to the job description. There's one thing said in the opposite down here. They also asked for and never got numbers on the $50,000 in savings.
When did you ask for that?
That was at that meeting when we came up and spoke last.
Did you submit a request?
Well, I'll get into that here in one moment.
And in reference to your email, I talked with our lawyer today, he'll respond in reference to that. And based on that email, the meeting, as far as he's concerned, was properly posted and noticed. And he sent that information to council as well.
So what about the August 31st council workshop?
I didn't see any email on that one. August 31st?
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was just bringing up now, about the legal review and training, not being specific, so we wanted, with the commissioner from the Information Policy Analysis Division said that it has to be specific, so if someone wants to know something, say feedlots or union agreements or open meeting law, this in the notice, that they can be properly notified, it's going to be on the agenda. Because there's quite a few items that were just kind of thrown under that. It was kind of, instead of calling it, and anything else that comes before the council, if the commissioner has an opinion on, written opinion on, for the city of Montrose before, they just call it a legal review instead. That's how it comes across here. I think Joe wanted to say something.
So that was, the open meeting law was discussed in the training portion of that meeting.
Right.
So there was a PowerPoint that Andy and Mike brought and discussed specific legal points that we needed to be cautious of and aware of, and changes that were occurring in the training aspect, which that's how it was noted, was training, which encompassed the open meeting law and several other aspects.
But just the part about the legal review and training, it's generic. It doesn't say, because you look at the minutes, and the minutes are very specific. And what topics were discussed, that could have been on the agenda in the meeting notice. And if we need to, we can have the commissioner write an opinion on this. I mean, it's up to you guys how you want.
What I'll do is I'll have our legal team review it and get back to you.
So, okay, my third point was that, the prior meeting, the mayor had mentioned that a complaint about, a staff member lying wasn't true or founded. I mean, it often tends to be something that's kind of a status quo response for one reason or another. One in cases where there are complaints that were founded, there has been there's no information given on those because maybe you can't.
You can.
But then, also at that same meeting, someone mentioned having issues with this employee, but they never received follow-up either. So I mean, why is you're following up on one thing but not the other? When the mayor was campaigning, he wrote inquiries to the city should never go ignored or unanswered.
What are you specifically talking about that wasn't unanswered?
I can follow you up with you later if you like.
Okay, I'd like to know specifically, I don't know what you're talking about. It's kind of generic.
Right, I can follow up with you later. if you
That'd be
like.
good.
I was just making the point that, one thing was followed up on, but not the other, as well as, the fact about the 50,000 in savings, and we never got numbers back on that. And the savings that are supposed to be done, that we're supposed to get by.
We looked at those numbers and then the council went a different direction, that's why it went that way.
I mean, I never saw a council packet. That's kind of where I'm coming from. I don't know where the numbers went. Did they go to just the personnel committee, or?
No, we looked at what the cost would be for, rolling through what the cost would be if we hired within versus what the costs were for exterior hire, and there was a $50,000 difference in those.
Okay, I just still haven't seen numbers in the council packet on that. That was one thing at that same meeting I brought up. And one thing you mentioned about the personnel committee being more open than it has in the past, I'd say that's good because there has been open meeting law violations by the personnel committee before, a few councils ago, and then at times they weren't following their own policy. Like, for example, one employee gave like an 18.9% increase when they had a set program for giving increases. So I would just say,
Which personnel committee?
the one that you and Joe are on. I'm saying in years past. I'm not talking about current.
No, that wouldn't be the one that Jill and I are on, because we're new members on the personnel.
I know, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm saying the openness we have now is good.
Okay,
Because there has been
that's
problems.
good, but I'm just saying, I'm throwing out there that there was 18%.
Right, I was saying that was under.
election.
No, I was trying to make the point that it was under prior council, that's why I was trying to say, that's why it's good that it's more open now, because before things, the processes or policies they had set up, they weren't necessarily followed each time.
But regardless, at least for the personnel side, the personnel can't approve that raise without it going to council.
A lot of times they just come in, but it might, they might not get discussion.
None of the committees can bind the council individually. That's why they're designed to have one or two people represent them, so you don't have a quorum there, so they can't bind the council. That's the reason for the committees having members that are one or two.
But there was one case where they actually did make a decision on the council. That's what I was referring to open meeting law. So
Had to be a quorum if there was.
actually, well, I mean that's maybe a little more detail than we want to get here. But, so last item was that there was an email from the mayor from his employer's email account saying in part that to a citizen that you really missed the point. Would you be willing to meet, anybody here, would they be willing to meet with someone that writes or possibly says things like this? If someone that writes things like this beyond a committee that helps negotiate a union agreement, for example? Would a person on that committee feel able to speak their thoughts for open discussion? Someone that writes to you, any of you here, anybody here that you really missed the point? In part, that was in the mayor's work email.
And I believe that was to you, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it?
And I'll close, and I'll add to this.
But
I was saying
did.
that I mistakenly supported you for mayor. So this is coming from someone that supported you. I'm just trying to bring the point that, it feels like, somebody that says you really missed the point is maybe not the best person for the job.
Are you open to criticism, Evan?
And then just one point is, has Wendy been declared our acting city clerk? So who is our acting? We have a city clerk, administrator.
And he's the deputy clerk, with Sean is oversight right now.
So she hasn't been appointed interim city clerk or anything like that? Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate
Thank you.
your comments. Anything further? Let's move on to acknowledgements.
I would like to acknowledge the Montrose Estates Committee for all the work with, just like Lori said, they had a rough year this year with the rain and all the adjustments that they had to make, so thank them for that. Sean and the guys as well for really everything that they do. Wendy and Sean both for putting the budget and everything together for us and keeping us on track. Melissa for getting the blue, or the yellow ribbon that was thrown in a ceremony and taking care of that. And acknowledge Dollar General for coming in and doing amazing. The ribbon ceremony, everything that they attended, so.
I'd like to add House of Grace to that, and Kimberly for the cleanup day yesterday, which I was not able to attend, but I heard great things about.
Very well, absolutely. That will be televised also by the ELCA. We'll be looking for that, and if I can provide the links to it, I'll let you know.
Sorry, along with Kimberly though, there was a lot of other, the Methodist Church, the Lutheran Church, there was a church from Rockford that was here. Just, everybody that's not necessarily from our community that came in and helped us, make our community better for everybody else.
I wanted to thank Sean for putting up our signs. We were pretty excited about those. And Kevin for letting us borrow Corey on Saturday night during Montrose Days. I know that was a little contentious with some of the other guys, but everything went really well. So thanks for the city, I guess, for all the support. We've got a big list of things ahead of us for the next year.
Lloyd? Yeah. Again, I want to echo the thanks to the House of Grace Church, and the other churches that came together with the day of service. That was fantastic. And also the churches involved in the feed program. I was part of that as well, and that went really, really well. Fantastic, unbelievable the amount of food that was distributed there. So fantastic. Also, thanks to Janelle Young for our Park and Rec. Appreciate that. And we have a letter. Wendy, do you want to read the letter?
Sure. For those of you that don't know, the Carver family did a softball tournament this past weekend at Carver Field to raise money for Alzheimer's disease. And they dropped off a note today, just said, City of Montrose, just a small note to thank you for letting us use Carver Field to host our first annual Alzheimer's co-ed softball tournament. 100% of every penny went to fight this dreadful disease. It had greater meaning to us because our family was heavily involved in the building, maintaining, and running of this park for nearly 40 years, from 1965 through 2003. Some of you may or may not know that Sandy Carver, who now suffers greatly with Alzheimer's, was greatly involved in everything at this park, including running the concession stand for many of those years. Our family has formed a support group to raise money for Alzheimer's research called Sandy's Supporters. With everyone's help, we can beat this disease that has or will affect every one of our families at one time or another. The family of Sandy Carver thanks you very much, as do all families affected by Alzheimer's. One final note, hopefully you will let us use the field in future years as well for this event. Thank you.
Anything further?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to recognize one of my employees, Jason Hilgers. On August 24th, when we were cleaning up from Montrose days, putting things back, we had an incident in Veterans Park that morning. We had a approximately 3-year-old child go running into the pond and got caught up in the riprap and succumbed, or potentially was going to succumb to drowning in the pond. And our employee, Jason, without hesitation, dove into action and rescued this child out of the pond. So I'd like to take my hat off to him for doing that.
That's awesome.
Good thing he was right there.
Absolutely.
Yes, the woman that was watching that particular child had 3 or 4 other children with her too, and she essentially just froze, and Jason saw that and off he went. So,
Good stuff. Those ones that make you glad that you got the people you do.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Anything further?
I have one more. It's kind of hard to come after those guys, but Corey Potter too. I attended the Royal Brunch, and I've done that the last couple of years, and she gets a really good turnout. It's amazing how all the different royalties that come and say what a good job she does, how they really enjoy coming out here. So I want to commend Corey for continuing with her hard work that she does for the royalty program.
Last one. Have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? And you guys, the Andy.